Okay, back to Xerox. So they decided that the only way they were going to have success if they did it themselves. So instead of trying to sell, they thought it would be a good idea to lease. Now, as I told you, copy machines in businesses at this time was a messy and wet affair. At the time, the average company was making 15 to 20 copies a day. So, entire company, they would make 15 to 20 copies a day. So Xerox said this: look, we will lease the machine to you. You can cancel with just 2 weeks' notice, so there's no real contract. And we will give you all the supplies to make 2,000 copies a month. And you pay us only for the copies that you make more than 2,000 a month. Now, how outrageous is an offer like that? The average company was making 15 to 20 copies a day. They said, look, we'll give you 2,000 a month. Okay. So what do you think? What do you think happened? Well, some companies started taking them up on it. And jumping to the end of the story, for those of you who don't know, that for the next 12 years, Xerox grew at an annual compounded rate of 41% a year and became the prototypical growth company through the 60s and 70s. So again, technological innovation oftentimes needs to be combined with a business model innovation for it really to take off. Business model warfare. Business mortality is high. What does that mean? It means that businesses fail. Okay, fail. It's been shown that technological innovation by itself has rarely been sufficient to ensure the future. Okay. It's about combining that technological innovation with a business model. However, you need to keep this in mind, is that the advantages that you may gain from a successful business model tend to be fleeting, meaning they're not long-lasting. Your business model that may have gotten you where you are needs to be continuously reviewed, updated when necessary. And that's especially the case these days when the business model is so visible. It's so transparent. If a company is doing something successfully, everybody knows it almost at the same time. So how do you keep your competitive advantage when all of your business is in the wind, when everybody knows everything that you're doing? Interesting question. Perhaps we can talk about that in a discussion in class. So how do business models emerge? Well, the way that they emerge is by an investigation of the value chain. Now, when we talk about a value chain, what are we actually talking about? We're talking about the string of activities that moves from the raw material all the way through to the end user. Raw material through all the way through to the end user. So if we're talking about, let's say, the oil business, okay, we're talking about doing the surveying to find out where oil is, the exploring, the drilling, the pipeline and transportation, the refining, the wholesaling, the retailing. That's what we're talking about, the entire chain. So by looking at this chain, studying this chain, and looking at the costs and revenue from each of these activities, okay, we can begin to identify opportunities, one for new business, two for changes, and also we can start thinking about different business models that emerge from analysis of the value chain. So this is how the value chain looks here. This is this is from raw materials here all the way through operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service. Keep in mind also that the value chain extends after the sale to after-sale support and service. So these are the primary activities, and on top of those are the support activities: admin, HRM, technology development, resource procurement, that sort of thing. And all of these activities in a business yield some sort of margin. But analysis of the value chain will help you determine where or who or which activity is actually responsible for that margin. Because some activities are more profitable than others. So by looking at the value chain of a product or a service, you are able oftentimes to pinpoint where in the value chain can be the spot where additional value can be created. And this is how you start playing with and developing new potential business models. Now, how can we define a business model? This is what Osterwalder says, and this is Osterwalder over the last 2-3 years has become super hot because he's focusing on business models. He has a great book called Business Model Generation, which I would recommend highly. In this course, we actually have the first 70 pages of that as well as the reading, but I would suggest that you invest and buy this book. Okay, he describes the business model, describes the value an organization offers various customers, and portrays the capabilities partners required for creating, marketing, delivering this value and relationship capital with the goal of generating profitable and sustainable revenue streams. That's a mouthful. It's also written in that way to make sure that he hits all of the elements of his characterization of business model. The quick and dirty of it is how does your business deliver its product or service, and how does it make money? That's the quick and dirty of it. How do you get a product or service to a client, and how do you make money? One important aspect of business model is the value proposition, and we're going to be starting to talk about the value proposition from this point on in the course. The value proposition is the sum of the benefits a customer is promised to receive in return for payment. The value proposition gives an overall view of the customer's bundle of products or service and client advice. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, basically, the value proposition is what you get when you buy a product or service. Now, that seems relatively straightforward, and in some cases it is. But the total value proposition is really a bundle of both tangible and intangible attributes. For example, when you buy a nice car, let's say a Mercedes-Benz, okay, what do you buy? You buy it, they give you the keys, you have the car. But is that all you have? And the answer is no. You have prestige. You have that you're buying. You have there's an envy that you're buying. Other people might be envious of you, and you're paying for that. You have the ability to say, "Hey, I'm doing pretty well financially." You're paying for that. So, in other words, the branding of the Benz is made up of many intangible aspects. But there are also tangible aspects in addition to just the car. The fact that it's a good car, that there's a certain guarantee that comes with it. It's a certain likelihood that it's going to last over a long period of time. All of these things make up the value proposition. And as we, the entrepreneur, we need to price our value proposition to take into account all of these tangible and all of these intangible benefits that we are giving to the customer. So, playing with the value proposition is how we can differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. We can sell a product that physically is very similar to the competitors, but by building our bundle of tangible and intangible attributes to it, we can build a value proposition that is substantially different than our competitors. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. This is a quick and simple way to look at business models. Okay, we can look at business models of being made of these four elements. The first being the value proposition. We spoke of that just a second ago. Now I want to talk about the revenue model, the production model, and also the delivery model. Okay? But I want to do that all in one lecture. So I'm going to cut this one a little bit short. I'm going to cut it now, and then I'll be back to you in one sec.